Today I'm talking to each of the guys around the year that was 2020, the effects that COVID has had on each of their respective business units, what skill sets have been in demand, where most of the action has been, and most importantly, what we're expecting to see in 2021. Hey everyone, welcome to the latest edition of Tom Talks. Today we welcome Jeremy Taylor, who is T+O+M Executive's Head of Business Intelligence and Data Science. Welcome, Jeremy.
So yeah, it's been an interesting year. March and April was still pretty much as it was before in terms of volumes of roles we saw coming through and just the general kind of demand in the market. It was after that it became more pronounced in terms of the impacts of COVID, particularly in terms of the volumes of roles we were seeing coming through with regards to the perm market. We reckon we saw somewhere in the region of about a 70% drop in terms of the volumes of perm roles across the data and analytics space. And what we did see, funnily enough, was actually a switch to contract. And I think that was essentially off the back of a lot of the banks, insurers seeing that the contract option was probably the better way to go, just to manage their risk with regards to the uncertainty in the market ahead. And so what we attested this to was essentially that off the back of the Royal Commission, there was still a lot of large risk and regulatory driven transformation programs taking place, focused on things such as customer and ensuring that obviously the banks are doing the right things by their customers, and a lot of these essentially led to data engineering, analytics, data governance roles which needed to essentially be hired to underpin those programs of work. So yeah, there was a move to contract, but there was also definitely a move to data roles within projects in general. That was probably up until the end of July, and then come August, when we naturally see that there tends to be a sort of uptick in the market, particularly off the back of the end of the financial year and new budgets. We were kind of holding our breath thinking, is it going to happen or is it not? And thankfully it did happen. So we haven't gone back to the same levels that we were at pre-COVID, but there's definitely been more volume in the market, particularly in the permanent space. However, there is still very much a flavour around data governance and analytics roles which have a non-financial risk flavour to it. Banking and insurance is going to continue still to be busy in general, again off the back of the Royal Commission and risk and regulatory driven programs of work. I think if we're looking at other areas, so let's just talk about technology in general, the cloud and data engineering space is still relatively strong, particularly in the contract world. However, there is definitely more permanent work out there, and that's because it is still a strategic or an imperative strategic initiative for C-level execs to get their data sorted, but also move to the cloud. So the two things tend to be relatively going hand in hand, particularly when you're looking at data governance and information management. So banking and insurance, I think in general, is still going to be a push because they need to deliver on those customer-focused programs of work. But then from a technology point of view, cloud, data engineering, DevOps, automation and infrastructure, businesses making sure they've got their platforms in place because they underpin their businesses and their customer offering, will continue to grow. In terms of salary levels, in terms of where the demand is, I would say that it's been in the 120 to sort of 160k plus super range in general if you're looking at the perm market. The contract market in terms of rates have stayed consistent, I would say, depending on the types of roles you're looking to recruit. I think why it's tending to cap out of that 160 is just simply because there's a lack of senior opportunities out there, there's less turnover in the market. Candidates in general put their searches on hold at the beginning of the year, and that just has had a knock-on trickle effect essentially. So I think next year will be different. I think there will be more permanent opportunities coming through as businesses feel more comfortable around the market and want to invest in those senior leadership roles. But definitely at the moment it's been in that 120 to 160 range. So I'm hoping in terms of the job market and what my forecast is for next year, I'm hoping it's going to stay at a similar level to what we're seeing at the moment. I think we will see more pronounced slowdowns over Christmas and summer again next year, to be honest with you. But I've recruited through the GFC, I remember what that was like. I'm a little bit nervous around the economy when stimulus packages start to dry up and how that's going to impact us. However, I am optimistic. We are in a better place here in Australia than other countries with regards to the fallout from COVID, and we are definitely in a stronger position. So I'm hopeful we're going to bounce back quicker. And as long as the financial services market still continues to deliver with regards to hiring into those strategic projects they have to tick off, I think it will be okay.